Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It is Friday, November 22nd, 2024, and today we're going to be talking AEW Full Gear. Of course, it happens tomorrow night, and we are going to be predicting the card. But to predict the card, I can't just do it on my own. I need a great panel with me, and I do have one today. And let's kick things off with the head of opinions here at Wrestling Republic. How are you today, Anthony?
I'm doing all right. I'm fully ready to piss some people off with this stuff, and like I always do. Yeah, it should be a fun show with a fun crew to go over a very long card.
Absolutely. I mean, apparently it's their shortest one they've done in a while, and it is not short. So, I mean, I think that tells you more about the others than this one. But Numero on Superfly says, Happy Predictions Day, Wrestling Republic. Happy Predictions Day to you as well, Numero 1. Aaron says in the chat, WWID faction will be just like the Nexus. I mean, I don't think they're going to do a faction with the WWID guys, but if they did, that would be something for sure. But also joining us today, we have the biggest AEW fan here at Wrestling Republic. We have Soul. How are you, Soul?
Yeah, it really is my title. I mean, I've pretty much earned that, so I'll happily take that. But yeah, I'm excited for Full Gear, and fun fact, this is the first card this year, or pay-per-view, without Jericho on it. This is very interesting.
Hey.
Phenomenal. This is unprecedented. We better pour one out for the Nueve now, because we're going to be missing him on pay-per-view. So sad times, boys, sad times.
Oh, I'm sure we're all going to be very, very disappointed and missing him, aren't we? I mean, I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you. The Ring of Honor title isn't being defended.
I'm really shocked that they didn't make it a tag match with him and QT against the Costco people. I'm stunned.
Big AJ. Get the Rizzler in as the special guest.
We can't have the Rizzler become the next Ring of Honor World Champion now. Come on now.
We could, and we should. He's a bigger draw than Jericho in 2024.
That should be a clip right now.
Yeah, 10 million views on a tweet, right? These Costco guys in AEW, I'm not saying they were getting no views, they were getting views, but it was the tweet, the one which went viral was the one which the tweet started with the word Rizzler in capital letters. That was their first one in AEW, which went viral. I mean, the Rizzler seems to be the real draw here. This chocolate chip cookies guy, I think he's a fraud. I think he's an absolute fraud. The Rizzler is the real draw, and we've been sold a dream. But at least he'll be ringing the bell.
We're only 3 minutes in.
But anyway, let's talk about the TBS Championship, shall we? Because we have Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander, and this match I'm really excited for. I truly am. I think it could be great in the ring. But from a storyline perspective, well, I'm just not too invested in it. And the reason for that is, like I said quite a few times the past few weeks, they have just ruined Chris Statlander's character. And it sucks because she is good on the mic. She's great in the ring. Seriously, she is so unique as well. And as a heel, I actually thought she could work even better. But they just randomly turned her face in what might just be the most random face turn of all time, because there wasn't even a point where she turned. It was just an overnight thing, and she got rid of Stokely then. I mean, it was so bizarre. And because of this, I'm just not really that invested into this feud, which sucks, because like I said, it should be a great match, and I'm excited for the match. Just the story, well, it hasn't hooked me in. But as for my prediction, I'm going to have to say Mercedes Moné retains here, because let's face it, I cannot see her dropping it like this. I truly cannot. The question kind of is to me, will Camille turn on Saturday night? I'm hoping she will, just because I think the longer this continues, I think the more Camille gets hurt by it. Anthony, what about you? What is your prediction for the TBS Championship bout?
I gotta be perfectly honest. I think Stokely has more charisma than anybody in this match.
Wow.
But I gotta be honest. I enjoy Stokely. But this is going to be Monet. It's the way AEW has booked her. They booked her as the high price free agent. That's how they're booking her. They took the title off of Willow, which was a mistake. They made Willow a transitional champion. Statlander's getting the title shot before Willow's even going for it again. Uh, Without a doubt in my mind, Monet's retaining.
Yeah, I mean, it is, as simple as that. I do agree. Numero one says Mercedes Moné retains. Have everyone in AEW, including the commentary, question why Chris decided to be nice again after tormenting Willow for so long. I mean, that's a good point. The commentary, I don't even think have mentioned it. It's just like everybody's just forgotten and they've just put it to the back of their minds.
You mean the Kool-Aid's been drunk? Is that what you're saying?
Something's been drunk with this booking, I'll tell you that much. But we got D6 Warlord predicting the return of absolute Ricky Starks, and Sean Ellis is predicting that AEW will continue to suck. Another day, another hate comment by Sean Ellis. Oh gosh. So what about you? Would you have the champion retaining, or could we see a new TBS champion?
Monet's definitely going to be retaining the TBS championship. I think Monet's booking going into specifically World's End and Wrestle Dynasty will be interesting. Obviously, because she's still the New Japan Strong Women's Champion and has the TBS Championship. So she's definitely going to beat Statlander. But I don't think, obviously, I know AEW have announced this Women's Tournament Cup thing for Wrestle Dynasty. I don't think Monet's going to be involved with that. I think she'll have a New Japan Strong Women's title defense on the card and drop it at Wrestle Dynasty. That's my prediction there. But for the TBS title itself, I can only really see one person beating her for it, and that's Willow Nightingale. I've always said AEW's problem is too many heel championships. They've changed some of them now. Hopefully they'll be changing more of them. But Willow's the only real one I can realistically see being in a position to take the title from Monet and to take it back from Monet after all this. I don't know how a lot of people would feel about it, but besides that, I think it will be an entertaining match. Hopefully, Chris Statlander can go into something with a program with more long-term program with Camille, or even a program with Serena Deeb. Heck, even Julia Hart, teasing coming back going after Hater. Maybe that's something you could do, but nonetheless, I think this will be an enjoyable women's match.
Absolutely. No, I do think it will be a good one. And I do like your shout, Soul. The possibility of Willow being the one to win back that championship. I, for one, would be all on board with that. Another name which is being thrown around at the minute is somebody who recently went over to Japan, and that's Anna Jay. I mean, could you see that?
I mean, it's a fair point. Obviously, Anna Jay's done the wee feud with Mariah May, and obviously the stipulation of the last match was that she can never challenge the title while Mariah May holds the championship. So it could be a nice diversion. And as well, Anna Jay, genuinely, I forgot about her. I'll be honest, I forgot about Anna Jay.
She's been putting on some great work at the minute. I will say that her improvement is incredible.
It's kind of shocking how from before that she was always, the hardcore gal with Ty J and Ty Conte doing their matches, and then sporadically has appearances. But she was the position where Sky Blue was for a while, of the lassie that was brought in to get beat by the other lassies to elevate them up the card. But she then went and did this thing in Japan, came back. Even Ospreay said it, such a more escalated professional wrestler. Could she defeat Monet for it? I absolutely do think that as well, actually. So you have options there, and for Anna Jay, somebody who's not hold a championship in AEW, to get that opportunity and beat somebody like Mercedes Moné with such the credentials behind her career would be a very star-making performance for the Queen Slayer.
Absolutely, it would be. We have Shard saying Jamie Hayter. That's another solid shout as well. They have options. They have a variety of good options as well. So that is certainly, the future looks bright. But as for this weekend, well, we all predict Mercedes Moné is going to be retaining. Right, now let's move on to our quick fire prediction round, right? Because in case you guys haven't seen our quick fire predictions in the past, the way it works is I introduce a match, then all of us, we put this timer on, and then we have 35 seconds to answer and to give our prediction, right? It's because these cards, especially in AEW's case, are rather long. So if we don't do this, well, we just won't get through them. So yeah, that is the situation which we are in. But now let's get straight into it, and let's kick things off with MJF versus Roderick Strong. This match, to be honest with you, I think is probably the most predictable on the card. I can't for a second believe that there is even a possibility that Roderick Strong could retain. I think MJF is going to get the win here. In fact, I even could see him beating Kyle O'Reilly as well before eventually facing Adam Cole. This storyline, there's just more and more and more people involved, and the more people that get involved, I hate to say this, but the worse it gets. And it sucks because I love this storyline so much at the start. But Soul, what about you? What is your prediction for this match?
So for me personally, I'm gonna enjoy it as a match. I like Roddy's in-ring work. I like MJF. They're both great. As I said before, I feel like MJF's gonna get the win, beat Roddy. Then World's End, 1 year on, will be MJF and Adam Cole, the final one in their, I guess, saga of storylines between the two individuals. Obviously, Ringside Collectibles has recently announced a Better Than You Baby pack, so they're kind of announcing more merch about the team and their history. You would maybe want to lead with that into World's End, but yeah, I think obviously MJF's going to walk away the winner of this match.
Yeah, I do agree with you there, and so does numero one Superfly, who thinks MJF and Adam Cole will then move on from this storyline. I mean, I absolutely do hope so. What about you, Anthony? What is your prediction for this one?
It's such an odd choice to release that action figure set after the team's already done. Side note, that's a sold separately comment. But seriously, MJF's retaining this, or winning this. You said retain. I'm like, what title? But yes, now I'm repeating you. No, but MJF's winning this. It is one of the worst storylines because it's so convoluted and messed up. It will be a great match. Yes, Roddy is phenomenal in the ring. MJF knows what he's doing. It'll be a great match. Story-wise, horrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, even maybe, I don't know why I'm not excited for this in ring, actually, because that's a good point, Anthony. It will be a good match in the ring. I don't know what's putting me off, and I guess it's just the story is...
The storytelling's bad, yeah.
Yeah, like with Monet and Statlander, like I'm not invested in the storyline, but I'm not repulsed by it. Whereas in the case of MJF and Roderick Strong, I'm repulsed by the story. I think it is that bad. It frustrates me. I feel sick watching it.
Because the Roddy thing is an off-ramp. It's not directly in the feud. Adam's the direct feud. Monet and Statlander, there is no off-ramp with that. This is a, hey, we're going here. We're taking a detour though. That's what this is.
Yeah. It's a detour, and I think they've definitely gone the wrong way. But they've actually gone backwards. They've looped around on themselves. They've added 45 minutes to their journey. But now let's move on to a match which I am really excited for, and that is Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. I mean, this feud has been brilliant. I've loved it so far, and I think it's been a star-making feud for Kyle Fletcher. But for him to really become the star, I think he needs to get this win over Will Ospreay. I truly do. Maybe Ospreay can get a win down the line against him, but I think it's really important. In his first major singles match, he gets this victory. So I'm going to predict Kyle Fletcher. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic, but I really hope I'm correct on this one. Soul, what about you?
So Ospreay and Fletcher have only ever faced each other 2 other times. Once on the Indies and once at Dynamite, and Ospreay's had the win. So I definitely think for Fletcher, somebody who they've really gone in with recently, a lot of TV time, a lot of visual appreciation for him in his career, showcasing online. I think Fletcher's going to get this. I think he's really going to win this. And I think they might even do it again in Grand Slam in Australia, or maybe put Fletcher in a title picture, maybe TNT. But yeah, I definitely think Fletcher deserves this more than Ospreay, and I think Ospreay can handle one simple loss.
Absolutely. And he's the type of guy as well where he doesn't, he's happy to take a loss. And I think that is one of the great things about Ospreay. We've heard him say in the past, talk about things like that. But what about you, Anthony? Who are you predicting in this one?
This is one of those situations where Osprey is a once in a generation talent, and I loved the build up with this because Osprey turned it personal that he was his brother and you turned on me, and it's the smart play if you're building Fletcher up. If that's the intention to build him up, Fletcher needs this win more. It means more to him. Osprey beating Fletcher does nothing for Osprey. Realistically, it does nothing for his career. But when everything's said and done, if it's a series, Fletcher needs to come out on top. So even if Osprey wins this one, Fletcher should overall win. But for this match, I'm going to go Fletcher.
There we are. Then we're all on the same page for it. We have Shard saying that Fletcher will win and Davis will turn on Will. Aussie Open, perhaps in Australia.
I do think it's not going to be clean. There's going to be shenanigans. I don't think it's going to be a clean win regardless.
Absolutely. Kobe saying the moderator has arrived and Shard saying Kobe with the wrench. Numero 1 Superfly has said that Carl Fletcher will win thanks to Mark Davis screwing Will and joining the... Oh, so Numero 1 saying the same as Shard too. Everybody thinks Mark Davis is going to join the Don Callis family. Perhaps
I don't think he will.
I didn't think he would, but now I wouldn't rule it out. I definitely wouldn't bet against it. That is for sure. But now let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about the World Tag Team Championships as Private Party defending against the Outrunners, the Kings of the Black Throne, and the Acclaimed. I was really excited for this match, but the one team, but the reason I was excited was it was 4 teams who weren't really, well, 3 teams which weren't really in the title picture beforehand. And then they added the Acclaimed. I can't remember who they were meant at who the Acclaimed were facing, but I wish the other team won because I thought that would have just made this perfect, this match. But I am going to predict Private Party are going to retain very simply because, I can't see them losing the titles this early. I mean, that would be a little bit shocking to me. What about you, Soul?
I think Private Party are definitely going to be walking away as still your AEW Tag Team Champions. Obviously, it was the Acclaim versus LFI on Collision, which Acclaim won. I think it's a fair point that Acclaim are in this match because I think it's going to be a good story coming out of it with the breakup of the Acclaimed. The Acclaim did their role within the tag division and the trios division, but there's maybe more of an interesting story with them against one another. Obviously, the MVP card's still at play with Caster, so I think Caster or Bowens will take the pin. And it will break off into a feud between both of them, maybe at World's End, with probably Caster joining Hurt Syndicate.
Oh, okay. You know what? Like, if this does lead to the demise of them, I'm all for it. I will say that. I'm not all for Max Caster joining the Hurt Syndicate, though. I'm really not. I had to think about that for a second. I'm not for that. If it's going to be anyone, it should be Anthony Bowens. Max Caster, I mean, I don't particularly see much in the guy, if I'm being honest. I think Anthony Bowens has a potential to be a star, a big star. Max Caster, I think... I'm not the biggest fan of Kobe saying shots, and Shard's giving himself a wrench too. Everybody's making themselves a moderator in the comments. What's going on here? We got more moderators than non-moderators. Numero 1, oh yeah, I've already read that one.
Yeah,
but LFI, of course, the source point was the team I was saying I would have liked to see them in it, but again, so if they are going to split up, then I'm all for it. But what about you, Anthony? Will we have new tag team champions?
I got to be honest with you. I agree with you. Max Caster, I've never seen anything in. He reminds me of Enzo, where he was a splash because he was controversial, but there's nothing there. Yeah. And I'm being perfectly honest. I think they're making a push with this Outrunners team, which I don't see anything in them either, but I don't think they're going to give it to them in this one. Could they shock people and give it to House of Black, which would shock everybody because everyone expects somebody to be leaving. But in all seriousness, I think it's going to be Private Party. I don't see them giving it to anybody else unless they go shock and go black.
Do you know what, right? I wouldn't be surprised soon if DraftKings start doing those weird offer things they do. If one of them starts being fans will tweet that Malachi Black's leaving the company after the match, because it is a lot of the times Malachi Black's own fault because he does things such as turning back, waving to the crowd.
The only reason I think that there's even a remote possibility of this is the fact that they put them in there. because you wouldn't expect that. You would have
Yeah.
expected they would have given it to FTR. The fact that they didn't do it, I do find that interesting, but I think Private Party retains though.
Yeah, it is very early in their championship reign, that is for sure. But now let's move on to the next topic, shall we? Let's move on to talk about the International Championship, as Konosuke Takeshita will be taking on Ricochet. Yes, please, I will have a slice of that, and I will have some seconds. I am very much excited for this match. Takeshita has had a brilliant 2024. He's had banger after banger, and I think he will be having another banger tomorrow night when he steps in there against Ricochet in singles competition, defending his championship. But I do predict that he is going to retain, and I do think he should retain because Soul, I believe that Ricochet should be the final member in the Hurt Syndicate. But who do you think will win this one?
Definitely Takeshita. I think they're really putting the full steam behind Takeshita. I think Ricochet can still do great things in other scenes and other title pictures, maybe even the C2 to continue him off a little bump, like what Jay White had with Full Gear last year. Then everyone thought he was buried, and then did the C2, and everyone was like, "Oh no, he's not buried." Wow, reactionary people are. As well with Takeshita, I think he's going to be one of their big international stars for AEW. Obviously, Wrestle Dynasty. I think he's in a title versus title match announced for Shingo Takagi for the Never Championship as well. So he's in big plans for this guy. So I think he's really going to be a star in 2026 for AEW.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, because he is a hell of an athlete, no doubt about it. And his run in 2024 in the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1, I mean, he was the MVP in a lot of people's eyes, including mine. And it's a big statement when you go into another company and you are the MVP in what you're involved in. That is a statement. But Anthony, what statement are you going to make about who you think will walk out the victor?
I think Takeshita should win. I think it means more to him. He's doing a phenomenal run. I think it's going to be a great match. Do I think he's going to win? No, I think they're going to go the typical shiny new toy route, and they're going to give it to Ricochet because that seems to be the MO. Sign a big free agent, give him the belt,
give him the TNT belt.
Because I think if they do it, Hurt Syndicate may be involved. And then you have Hurt Syndicate against the Don Callis family, or you actually have somebody for them to go up against. That would be my guess on this, because everyone else is retaining. Like we were all predicting retain for almost every other title. So if they're going to do a change, I think it might be this one.
If the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate are involved, I'd be all for it, actually. I wouldn't even complain then, because I do think it's a match made in heaven, that faction, for me personally, with the addition of Ricochet, who, of course, was originally meant to be in the Hurt Business. We do have a couple of comments over on Instagram. We have over on YouTube. Kobe saying it's a tough one because Takeshita and Ricochet both need a win. Number one Superfly is saying Takeshita retains and his next challenger could be Powerhouse Hobbs. I really enjoyed that. I'd love to see that match. Sean Ellis is saying, I really don't understand why you and so many others focus on AEW. I admit they have talented wrestlers, but the ratings are low and the arenas all have one thing in common. They all have empty seats.
I mean, Sean, it's just like, why do we focus on your comments when they're just nothing and pathetic? I mean, hey, fair enough. Everyone gets a voice.
Oh. Here's the thing, right? If I'm going to answer this one seriously, the narrative that nobody cares about AEW, especially in the, hardcore fan base, which is a lot of our viewers, it's false. A lot of people do care about AEW, and our AEW content only gets slightly less views than the WWE content. It is true, the WWE content does get more views for us, but it is changed by about 10 viewers. It is very, very close indeed over on YouTube, and over on Instagram, it's a couple hundred likes, if that. It's a very little difference, but let me check Instagram real quick. Okay, we're all good. On there, Lord Virus of Noogle is saying we've got some interesting takes. Christopher Leclerc is saying that he has got Ricochet. He's predicting a championship change. But now let's move on. Let's move on to talk about Jay White versus Hangman Page. Very simply, Jay White won the last one, so I think Hangman Page is going to win this one. I'm excited for it because I think the two have fantastic chemistry in the ring. From a storyline perspective, I don't think it's been focused on recently as much as it could be. There's obviously a story there, but I just don't think they focused on it as much as they should have, in over the last couple of weeks as such. It's just been promo packages, really. But there is a story there, and I'm predicting this time Hangman Page will get the victory. But what about you, Soul?
I'm gonna go. It's tough. I think it will be Hangman. I think Hangman's going to get the win. Maybe do some stuff in the C2, the Continental Championship, or maybe even go after another championship, which I'll be talking about later. But for Jay White, I think he's going to be Moxley's challenger at Grand Slam. I think that's what the plan is for Jay White. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed their match at Wrestle Dream. The fact that they opened it as well, I think a lot of people kind of forget about with how stacked that card was. But
yeah,
I think these two are going to put on some magic.
Absolutely. No, you are right. That opener was a great way to open the show, and they really did kick it off with a bang, bang, gang. Ha, ha, ha. What are your thoughts on this match, Anthony? Who do you reckon will win?
I think their last pay-per-view match was one of my favorite ones on the entire show last time. I think it's going to be a great match. If they're doing a best-of-3 series, I would hope they're not going to, you either have Jay White win all three, or, you're splitting it and have Jay ultimately win it, because it means more to Jay. Hangman's already been world champion there. And we've already seen them go the Swerve Hangman route, where Swerve got 2 wins to Hangman's 1. So if you go 1-1 and then a rubber match and have Jay ultimately come out on top, I think it would mean more to Jay.
Yeah. No, I
do.
do.
So in this one, I have Hangman. So
okay, yeah. But yeah, I do agree with you. Jay does need it for sure, because since coming to AEW, I think it's been rocky. It hasn't been bad, but it's been very rocky.
It's not been the Jay White from Japan.
Yeah,
the initial run, it hasn't. But since he's come back, you see that spark.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird that it's as a babyface he's getting a bit more over. But then again, we haven't properly seen the heel version of him in AEW. We haven't actually seen that cutthroat heel. We've just seen the comedy heel.
The cartoonish one,
yeah. That didn't really work either. Shard saying we can talk about AEW all we want. Christopher Leclerc says Adam Page. Numero 1 Superfly agrees and says at Winter is coming, we'll have another match in a 3 stages of hell. Numero 1 Superfly, you love predicting 3 stages of hell matches, and one day we will see one, and I cannot wait for it. Kobe saying the story has kind of been Hangman has never beat White, so that's kind of what they're focusing on right now. Oh, there is a story there. No denying there's a story there. I just wish they focused on it in a bit more detail the last couple of weeks.
Isn't that the same story he had with Swerve? That he wasn't beating Swerve?
That's true. But it's consistent, though. I don't mind it. That he's just focused on something. If he can't get a win, I don't mind it.
Okay.
But now let's move on. Let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about the TNT Championship. There's a lot of championships because Jack Perry is defending against Daniel Garcia. This feud has been... I just haven't been invested in it, but I thought this week's segment on Dynamite was really fun. Very weird, very fun, different. So I enjoyed the fact it was different. I'll say that much. It got me a little bit more excited for this match. Jack Perry as TNT champion. I've not been interested in it at all. 2 options here. One, you keep the title and Jack Perry and Omega wins it imminently. The other one is you give Daniel Garcia it. Screw it. Give it to Daniel Garcia. What are your thoughts, Sol?
I've actually liked this feud. I liked how they did the driving away with the skateboard bus on Collision, and they continued it in Dynamite. I thought it was like a nice wee continuation segment. But yeah, I'm going with Daniel Garcia to become TNT champion at this show. I was kind of thinking it'd be funny if Perry won and they redid it at the Hammerstein show, just to kind of do Cena RVD, maybe the Heat. I think that'd be funny. But no, I think Daniel Garcia should win, become TNT champion, and maybe feud with the likes of Brian Cage, just to kind of get himself up there in the card. With Perry, though, I really am struggling what to do with him.
Well, I mean, the Omega thing they've been building for a long, long time. Now, Kenny Omega's come back, like, actually, I don't fancy AEW anymore. I'm going back to Japan. But no, hopefully, I do think I don't know whether or not they're going to do the feud with the Bucks. I do think we're going to see Omega versus Jack Perry, though. And I think that's why, towards the end of that Elite storyline the last few weeks, the Young Bucks always had walked away by the time Perry brought up Omega. So I think the plan is for that to continue in some capacity, but maybe we will have to wait for the new year to after the New Japan show to see that happen. What about you, Anthony? What's your call?
I mean, listen, they've teased Omega with Takeshita as well. So, I mean, they've teased
true.
multiple different things. I really don't care about Jack Perry and his short black school bus as a whole. So, I mean, as a whole, I think give it to Garcia. He signed a new contract. Here's your trophy. Honestly, the Jack Perry run's not interesting. The Bucks left. So now, him and Okada are just there going, all right, so what do we do now? So just give it to Garcia, have him dance away with it and call it a day.
Oh, gosh, this booking does give me a little bit of a headache at times, but we do have a couple of comments here. Kobe says the match is going to be underwhelming. Christopher Leclerc says Daniel Garcia will win.
Great job there, Kobe. Already tell the fans that you're biased towards the rating for the show.
No, there's no, don't get them going on that.
He already said it's underrated. The bell hasn't even rung.
He said he feels he could be wrong. He will admit it. He will admit it. He always will admit it if he's wrong. I'm defending his
in his chair. The match is on the screen. He's just one, it's snowing, one, waffles. It's Canadian lifestyle. He's just enjoying it.
But Numo12 says Daniel Garcia wins the title by not only using the most illegal move in all of wrestling, the low blow, but also uses the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling, the surprise roll up. Oh gosh, I mean,
why's the Fandango music going through my head right now? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Kobe says, are they going to do a special entrance where he's still tied up in the barn? Maybe he just doesn't make it to the show. Maybe they just cut this match because Jack Perry's still there in the cold. He's got no food. Will
somebody go through real glass? That's all I want to know.
Well, that would certainly make this a bit more interesting. Right, let's now move on, shall we? Let's talk about Swerve Strickland and Bobby Lashley. I'm excited for this one. I am. I think this is going to be good. It's not going to be a 5-star classic or anything like that, but I think it's just going to be a really fun match, a fast-paced, hard-hitting match. I can't see it going longer than maybe 10 to 12 minutes, but I think Bobby Lashley is going to win, and I think it's going to be surprisingly dominant, in fact. I am predicting Bobby Lashley gets the victory. So, what about you? What's your call?
My mind was honestly thinking maybe a time limit draw, but I'm actually going to go Bobby Lashley just because Swerve has beaten Shelton Benjamin in the past, and now he's kind of done hit and run tactics with Bobby. I think it would be very interesting to have Bobby kind of get a good sized win over Swerve, and then maybe revisit this in a tag team match down the line, maybe with someone Swerve bringing in somebody, maybe him and Ricochet, and that could maybe be Ricochet's initiation to the Hurt Syndicate, because obviously they have history not only with Swerve but with Bobby and the crew. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that. What about you, Anthony?
I'll make this quick. Spend a lot of money. Lashley's going over. I mean, if we're being real about this, that's what it's going to be.
It has to be.
Swerve is strong enough to take the loss. Realistically, a win from him over Lashley would probably mean more to Swerve if we're going to be real about this. But realistically, Lashley's going over.
Yeah. I mean, I think Swerve can always get a win down the line as well. You need to establish him as strong when he's just coming to your company. I'm going to be honest with you. The more I'm saying this, the more I'm actually thinking, I don't think this is even going to go 10 to 12 minutes. I think this could be an absolutely dominant, pretty much squash. I think it's going to be, Goldberg, Lesnar, maybe not to that level, but I think it's going to be a shockingly dominant victory. And then the story is Swerve will get the win in like a year down the line back.
Yeah, but if he does that, how bad does that hurt Swerve? Like literally the champion.
It can be part of the story. You're bouncing back. Then he's hit rock bottom. He's bouncing back. It's a true underdog story, and Swerve plays that role fantastically.
Have they shown the ability to do that type of storytelling to make this work?
They have actually, AEW. What they struggle with is once the person's, done the storyline and they're at that moment, then they're like, oh shoot, where do we go from here? They don't know how to put people at the top. They know how to put people on the way to the top. I will defend them there. Megan is saying they're definitely giving a dub to Lashley. Agreed. Kobe's saying they threw away Lashley's pay-per-view debut. I know I sent an analysis. I'm not happy about it. But it's whatever. Christopher says Lashley. And numero one says Lashley as well. Lee Moriarty joining the Hurt Syndicate. I would not mind at all. Of course, he's currently in Shane Taylor Promotions, but I mean, let's be real.
When has that made a difference?
Yeah, exactly. The Beast Mortos is apparently a free agent in a faction. So who knows, these factions nowadays, it makes less and less sense. But now let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to talk about the main event. Well, at least what I presume will be the main event. The AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy. I love their match at All Out 2023. I think Jon Moxley is Orange Cassidy's greatest rival. I think from a psychological standpoint, this storyline has been fantastic, actually, and I'm invested in the match. That being said, I can't see a shot in hell that Jon Moxley uses the title here. Moxley retains. It's very simple to me. Soul, what's your take?
I think what this will set up is it will set up that the dedicated AEW members on the older age scale of the age will lose to Moxley. I think with this as well, Moxley is really going to show a ferocious side. I fully expect Cassidy to bleed buckets. Moxley will standing over with an intimidating factor. I think what Cassidy is doing here is essentially he's thrown himself to the wolves as a symbol of martyrism for the younger members of the roster, to saying, hey, I'm showing my defiance and still doing what I do. It's like giving the slow kicks on Dynamite with the Go Home show. A lot of people are like, well, why is he just giving the slow kicks? That's not really effective. It's like, but that's Cassidy being Cassidy. He's not changing himself to fit Moxley's new vision agenda for AEW. He is staying true to what AEW was when he was obviously still part of the company, but when he joined at the time and what he was able to do. After this is the big question. I still, and 100% in my mind, is Moxley and Darby are all in Texas. For World's End, honestly, if he was healed, I would do Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Then Grand Slam Australia, do Jay White. Revolution, maybe work your way down. I don't know, maybe you Swerve again would be interesting, or like some Ricochet or something like that. But yeah, I think generally this whole idea of this match is essentially showing that, yes, you may lose to Moxley, but as long as you stay true to what you are within AEW, you win in your heart. Some and stuff. Yeah.
It is a fun story, and they showcase on a lot of the younger stars, which I love as well. I think that's Moxley's goal with this entire storyline too. We got quite a few comments here. We have Christopher saying Jon Moxley will win. We'll get on to QT and AJ. We will. We've got a numero one saying Jon Moxley, and then he faces Kenny Omega next, and then he starts seizing a higher authority, and that authority, we know it. It'll be Shane McMahon, numero one Superfly things. I love it. You're staying strong to that prediction. Anthony, what about you? Jon Moxley or Orange Cassidy? Who will walk out with an AEW World Championship?
I think it'll be a competitive match. I think Moxley goes over without question. I think Stevie Wonder could see that. This whole story, though, this is the problem with it. There's no believability in any of this. This is the second takeover story that they've done in the past 6 months, and there's no stakes. There's no takeover. There's none of that. I've always hated Orange Cassidy when he does the little taps and kicks. It takes me out of a match. It's supposed to be a fight. No one's little taps and kicks in a match. It takes you out of it. If it's supposed to be heated, show it heated. But there's no stakes in any of this. And that's the problem. They're not showing any stakes. And everyone that's surrounding Orange Cassidy and all this is the job squad of people. It's nobody legitimate. And this is the problem they had the last time, Team AEW. You had one or two people that you could legitimately go, okay, that's Team AEW, Darby's in there, okay. But for the most part, nobody's buying the Dark Order or any of the other people that are thrown in this thing. It's going to be Moxley, but it's probably going to go Darby at some point, and then Christian's going to end up taking it from him. That's probably where they're going to end up going with this thing, and this thing will have accomplished nothing.
I mean, I disagree with that because I think that would have made Darby, and even if Christian then cashes in, you can then do Darby work back. I disagree. The one thing, though, which I specifically disagree with you on, and you guys can clip this because I've been the biggest Orange Cassidy hater at times, but I'm defending the kicks. And the reason why I'm defending the kicks is you look at MMA, you look at boxing, there are countless examples of fighters doing things which don't necessarily hurt, but just annoy, like sometimes they just like poke each other and stuff like that. And you're like, what? But it's just to get in their head. It doesn't hurt. But that's what these Orange Cassidy kicks do. When he was on the indies, people used to sell them. That was stupid. That was dumb. That was horrific. In AEW, when he does it, it's for a psychological advantage. Moxley the other day was shouting, hit me back, hit me back. Orange Cassidy didn't. He just did those kicks, and Moxley, you should have seen it in his eyes. He was fuming. He takes down Orange Cassidy. He murders him. They all leave there. And Orange Cassidy, admittedly very hurt, but he got back up and he looked at them. Moxley's plan went according to plan, and even still, Orange Cassidy stood standing. And that's why I love that segment so much.
The funny thing
they
is,
have a time and a place.
The funny thing is, I don't get the Orange Cassidy hate so much. It's like every opportunity he has to showcase himself, he proves people wrong. Ospreay at Forbidden Door 2022, his international championship run, Moxley and Cassidy all out, and now he's doing it with this, where he's having a very good feud with Moxley. But every chance everyone gets, they doubt him. And then you look at Zack Sabre Jr., who goes, if Orange Cassidy's one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. So, I mean, like, if you're someone from Zack Sabre Jr.'s caliber and praising Orange Cassidy, then, he is good. Whether you're a fan of the kicks, you're a fan of the shades, or the fans of the hands in the pocket, he is probably one of the best workers in the world right now, and I'll put my heart on that.
Yeah, Megan's agreeing with you as well, saying not me and Soul agreeing on something. But very quickly, before we wrap up this show, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, right? Because, well, the Commons aren't going to let us not. Shard wants us to talk about it. Kobe wants us to talk about it as well. Big Boom versus QT Marshall. I'm predicting the Rizzler, because the Rizzler's all I care about in this one, right? Big AJ's obviously going to win just so we can see the Rizzler ring the bell, because the Rizzler is the draw here. Big AJ, the other guy, small AJ, I don't know who they are, the Costco guys, Mr. Choc Cookie, whatever. I don't care. The Rizzler, he's the star. He's who's over. He's carrying the faction, right? I mean, the other two guys are the Marty Jannettis. He's the Shawn Michaels. You can clip that because that's the truth, right? The Rizzler, next AW champion. So, agree.
Thank you, viewers, for tuning in for the Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast. I have been Soul. This has been Allison, the host, and I have Riciardi, your head of opinions, also the host of Soul separately. Tune in for all our other broadcasting and on 8 p.m. Also, my stuff at the Soul Sessions and Festival and Soul's YouTube channel. Good night, boys. I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one. Full Gear's going to be fun. Have a good show. See ya.
And on that note, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, guys. Thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Soul.